What's up, everybody? We are back.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to another episode here of Metalhead's Journey. Hey, hopefully you've been following along with us here on our journey down the top 50 metal albums of all time. Last week we did the all-time great number 18, Kill 'Em All from the mighty Metallica. This week we're into something new for us, okay? And this is the number 17 album of all time. This is the first time we've had them on the list. This is the band Iron Maiden with the album Iron Maiden. Now, I get it. We're metal fans. We probably should have heard this song or this album before we got here, but we didn't. Sorry about it. But I'm sure we all have some good things to say about it. But hey, hopefully you guys have some good things to say about it as well. So if you can, give us some comments down below. Tell us what you think about the album. Give us your metal rating at the end of this. Just a 1 through 10 rating on what you thought of the album and what are some of the other albums out there from Iron Maiden that are good. We're doing a couple more later down the list here, but for now, we're going to focus in on the album Iron Maiden. So, the band Iron Maiden formed in 1975. They're an English metal band from Leighton, East London. The band was formed, and I thought this was pretty unique. By the way, guys, we're going into this with, we're learning as we're going. The band was formed by bassist and primary songwriter Steve Harris. You don't hear that very often with the bassist being like the main person that formed the band, so that's pretty neat.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the lineup for most of the band's history has consisted of Steve Harris on bass, Bruce Dickinson on vocals, Nick McBrain on drums, Dave Murray, Adrian Smith, and Yannick Gers on guitars. Sorry if I messed that up. They're pioneers of the new wave of British heavy metal and often considered to be a major influence on many of today's most popular metal bands. Iron Maiden has sold over 130 million records. They've released 17 studio records, including 2021 Senjutsu. They've only won one Grammy, which is shocking to me. And finally, they've been nominated for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the year 2023.
Overdue.
So we'll see if they get in, but they at least are nominated. They're on the ballot.
Oh yeah, right on.
So that's cool. So the album Iron Maiden, released in 1980, is the band's debut studio album. The album was recorded in 13 days, which I thought was pretty surprising. We're going to get to that a little bit later. The lineup for this record features nobody that I said earlier, with the exception of Steve Harris, surprisingly. Steve Harris on bass, Paul Di'Anno on vocals, Dave Murray on guitar, Dennis Stratton on guitar, and Clive Burr on drums. This album produced one single. Hopefully you saw a reaction video of this song called Running Free. So let's jump into musicianship and our entertainment value of the record here. What'd you guys think of just the overall musicianship here?
Really good, dude. Really innovative stuff for the time, especially on the guitars, man. Look, I'm a simp for fucking harmonizing guitars,
dude,
and you get that all throughout this fucking album. And
yeah.
I want to know.
I literally have a note here. I have a note here that says it's the first time I can remember hearing guitars like this at this time.
Right, like who are their influences, man? Holy shit! Bass is obviously fucking killer on this as well. Vocal wise, whoever this singer is,
Paul Di'Anno.
He's Paul Di'Anno. He's fine. Drummer doesn't really stand out to me, but the songwriting, fucking stellar. But yeah, man, musicianship from for me, what stands out the most got to be guitars.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, you mentioned Steve Harris earlier. I had a note in here that this is only the second time I've ever heard bass on an album that makes me stiff, right? Like, Geezer Butler, for me, is really the gold standard of bass playing. In terms of, and being a bass-forward band, right? Yeah. There's lots of bands that we listen to and that I listen to that bass is very much an afterthought. Metallica, obviously. And I was thinking about this. It's so surprising to me that as much influence as Iron Maiden had on Metallica. And man, I mean, after hearing this album, I can hear it. I hear it everywhere, right? Except for the bass. I'm trying to figure out at what point did James Hetfield be like, man, I love Iron Maiden, except for Steve Harris.
Turn that bass
Fuck
down.
that guy. Yeah, we're turning that shit down on our album, bro.
Yeah. This is especially effective after just listening to Kill 'Em All. And then hearing this, this is
big time.
This came out 3 years before Kill 'Em All. So I mean, this is literally what those guys were listening to when they were coming up with the ideas for that album. So it's kind of crazy for me to hear this album now after so long of not listening to it. But for me, the musicianship and entertainment value, like, together, I don't want to repeat everything you guys said, but just like the fact that this came out in 1980 and this is how far ahead of the game they were, in my opinion, on just like how to really construct tracks, and like Phantom of the Opera, spoiler alert, just how epic that song is on 1980, right? It's just crazy. Like this album kind of blew my mind. I'm gonna be honest with you a little bit. How good it is. It's gonna get a really good score, but I loved every aspect of it. I know Adrian wasn't crazy about the singer. I thought the singer surprisingly was really, really good. I knew this didn't have Bruce Dickinson on the record, so my expectations were kind of, I didn't know what to expect. But I thought he sounded great from almost every song. I thought he was more than good. So I enjoyed it heavily.
Jason, hop in there.
I thought the bass was fantastic. It goes in and out of most of the songs, going from drums to guitar into its own sequences. You can always hear it, which is fantastic. The vocals are a bit on the punk side, a little bit. Way he sings is a kind of and I don't want anybody to take this wrong, but it's kind of like a whiny sound, like it's from deep in the bowels. How you
it's with angst.
Yeah, and that's what I have right here. The style, but it's full of angst and rebellion. Oh yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Just for me, they weren't offensive or anything like that. They just didn't stand out to me vocal wise. Real quick, I'm looking at the track listed and who wrote them, right? And it's all Steve Harris. So look, not only is that guy a badass bassist, but he's a badass songwriter, man. So shout out to Steve Harris on this section too.
Yeah, and just calling back to Metallica, I mean, that they are particularly fans of this album because they've done a pretty solid cover of the song "Remember Tomorrow" as part of an Iron Maiden cover album. So, pretty good thing there. Entertainment value for me, super high. Album comes in just under 38 minutes. It's a breeze to listen to.
Absolutely.
The longest song on there is 7 minutes, and I mean, even that song, it's pretty good. Like, that song is okay. So I mean, overall, the entertainment value of this record is super high for sure.
I'll say this is a very entertaining album. You can definitely put it on in the background and just let it play in the background and not be. You don't ever have a moment where you're like,
look, if we're gonna jump into favorite tracks, I'm gonna jump in here because there's definitely at least one song I want to talk about, and that's Prowler. That's an inside joke. So no, look, I'm gonna break the rules. I followed the rules last time. I'm breaking them this time. I'm not gonna just pick 3 songs. But if I had to pick the top 3, I'm going to pick Remember Tomorrow as my number 3. I'm going to pick Prowler at number 2. And
obviously
Phantom of the Opera, an easy number 1 for me. I think it's just an epic song, the most epic song on the record. But I want to give a little shout out. I'm going to steal basically everybody's thunder here. Transylvania, right into Strange World. That 1-2 punch right there is amazing. Charlotte the Harlot. I mean, dude, like I've almost named every song.
What song is Transylvania?
It's right after Phantom of the Opera.
That's the instrumental.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the 4-minute intro into Strange World. Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah. I mean, 8 songs. There's not a single skipper for me. I think all these songs are excellent. I love the order of the tracks, and it all flows perfectly for me.
Yeah,
Prowler. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to go my top tracks real quick. Hey, honorable mention for me. I wanted to mention this earlier. I think probably the standout solo for me on the record, Charlotte the Harlot. Dude, just some tasty guitar work at the end of that song. Number 3 song for me, Strange World. It's such a cool feel. I love that it's a little slower. You get some good vocals out of it, and it gets that tasty ass 4-minute intro, man. It's really good. Second song for me, I didn't know if I wanted to pick this song because I didn't want it to be the obvious bias, but Remember Tomorrow. I mean, look, I heard the Metallica version of it first, so coming into this is the song I had most experience with. I mean, I love both versions. This song's fucking cool, man. It owns.
Yep.
And I think for me, the number 1 song, obviously, Dave, it's Iron Maiden. No, that's a joke. It's definitely Phantom of the Opera. Look, Phantom of the Opera, dude, is so fucking cool. I mean, how many songs are you getting to like the 3.5, 4 minute mark, and you have a dueling fucking solo between the goddamn bass player and your guitar players?
Dude,
I mean, dude, the fucking just the music in that song is crazy. And then who thinks to build a vocal melody around that do 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 riff? Like, dude, who does that? That's crazy.
Man. That shit, it's like it was written by Mozart, man.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are out here writing this shit in 1980. Like, holy
well, they probably
fuck.
wrote it in the 70s.
And they're probably like fucking 20 years old too, you know?
Right. Yeah. So anyway, Entertainment for me, because y'all skip me, assholes, was great. Awesome fucking album. I enjoyed every second of it. 38 minutes, fucking breeze. Fun album, exciting album, loved it. Top tracks. For me, number 3 is going to be Iron Maiden. I think that song fucking rules, man. Awesome outro for the album as well. Number 2 for me, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and, this is kind of cheating, but whatever, Transylvania into Strange World.
There you go.
To me, there isn't one without the other. And number 1, obviously, Phantom of the Opera. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
great fucking song.
The Iron Maiden song. So I think it brings up an interesting conversation because when we were doing the original Metalhead's journey, when we started with Megadeth and Slayer and Anthrax and all these guys through the big four, it was funny because Anthrax had a song called Anthrax and Slayer has a song called Slayer, and both of them were kind of underwhelming. So do we feel
the
like
namesake of the band?
Yeah. So do we feel like Iron Maiden at least lives up to like the namesake of being Iron Maiden? Is at least close?
I do.
Fuck yeah. Not to mention the song Iron Maiden's so bass driven, so it's like, I mean, it's perfect, man.
Not only is it's the song Iron Maiden on the album Iron Maiden by the band Iron Maiden. Like it's the full boat.
Yeah.
It's Inception.
I mean, it only thing would have made it worse if they would have recorded it while being inside of an Iron Maiden. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like you're a dude dressed as a dude playing another dude.
Yeah, basically that's what we have here. So, Jason, your top tracks.
I went with number 3, Prowler. Number 2, Running Free. Number 1, Phantom of the Opera. And it wasn't even close.
Sweep.
That's a Phantom of the Opera sweep.
Have we ever had
what a song?
Have we ever had a sweep?
We have not. We have not.
And I would say this to what you guys were just talking about, that the last song Iron Maiden, that is my least favorite song on this album.
Wow, damn. Okay.
All right.
Right on.
All right.
Is it your least favorite, like because it's bad, or is it just your lowest rated score, but it's still really good?
No, it's my least rated score, and it was fine. I have issues with the album in general that are not an issue with actually Iron Maiden or this album. It's me. It's not them.
What is it? Is it the production?
No. The production was fantastic.
Okay, well, good. I was just hoping to segue into production. Here we go. Hey, so audio production. Album is produced by Will Malone. It's the only album produced by him with Iron Maiden. Steve Harris felt like he lacked interest, and he basically let them produce most of the record by themselves.
So it's almost not produced by Will Malone.
Yeah, he just gets credit for it. And this album was remastered in 1998.
Which is what we listened to.
Well, we listened to 2015 one.
2015 or
was there another? Was there 2015 one as well?
Yeah, okay. which is the one we listened to.
Yes.
My bad, I didn't have that. So the
audio is fantastic. Whoever you are, as far as a fan of whatever instrument, you can clearly hear every single thing. In every single moment of every song.
Yeah, like I just have to soapbox this for just 5 seconds here, and I think I've said this before, but this is another example of all the famous bands out there that definitely listen to our videos. Take note here, okay? If you are a famous metal band and you have gobs of money, there is no excuse for you not to properly remix and remaster your older records so we can actually hear the instruments.
Are you just talking to Metallica?
I'm talking to James Hetfield.
Don't talk to James. He's not in charge. You got to talk to Lars.
James, come on the show and let us know what you think. But yeah, look, there's no excuse. This came out in 1980, and it sounds like ridiculously good. Like, why do we have bands who don't do this? Anyway, that's my soapbox. I'm
agree.
done. Sounds fantastic.
So look, if you guys, I mean, let's, we can bleed into to legacy here, unless anybody else has anything about audio production they want to hit. So
It's good for 1980.
yeah. So let's compare, because I think a lot of times these two bands get compared, but Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, right?
Yep.
And like, we didn't listen to Judas Priest's first record. We just, the first record we listened to from them was Sad Wings of Destiny, right? So I feel like if you had to compare the two, Iron Maiden is like fucking light years ahead of Judas Priest, right? Am I crazy?
Dude, like, man,
No,
I could not get into those.
Oh yeah, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
The last video you were talking about your dad saying that he's a big Judas Priest fan, and for a lot of people it's either Maiden or Priest. You're a Maiden guy or you're a Priest guy.
Yeah.
And I can tell you off of one album of Maiden versus 3 albums of Priest, like, I'm a fucking Maiden guy by a mile right now.
Dude, we heard that one song last week, and
Yeah.
dude, I'm a Maiden guy. Like, holy shit. I need to tell my dad that, by the way. Hey, Dad, I'm a Maiden guy, just so you know. It's just to get his reaction.
He'll disown you.
Look, I'm gonna need you to like hide your phone somewhere and record that so we can play it on the channel next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of my house with that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, like for me, like, look, I really did like Screaming for Vengeance, but if I had to pick between the two, like, look, like, we can have our cake and eat it too, but if I had to pick between the two, I'm definitely Maiden, just based on this one record. So,
Well, I guess I'm going to be the oddball.
Oh.
Say that I actually preferred Priest.
hey, so let's jump into scores then in Legacy. What, Jason?
I'll look. Obviously, I'm going to be the
Hold on
one.
a second, Jason. I apologize. Just real quick, just to explain our scoring system here. Okay. So, our rating system, basically anything that gets a 5 or more is something that we would recommend for you. So I know traditional rating systems start at about a 7 as an average. For us, a 5 is an average score, and then it goes up to 10, right? Anything below a 5, varying levels of garbage, we wouldn't recommend that. Anything above a 5 going up is varying levels of we would recommend. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Okay, so as far as this goes for Legacy, for me, I see the appeal. I can hear what draws people in. I can understand why they absolutely deserve to be on this list. And yes. I will also say that I will listen to them in the future with the hopes that there's something else on another album that I connect with. Nice. I am not disappointed in this album from what I heard. I'm more disappointed in myself because I had a preconceived notion of who Iron Maiden was and was wrong when we did our live reaction last week for the upcoming album. And I was like, okay, here we go. Unfortunately, I listened to this album probably, I think today was the 7th time I've listened to it start to finish. Ooh. And while I don't consider any of the songs skippers, and while I also don't consider any of these songs trash, and I absolutely recommend this album, I just never got into this album for whatever reasons. And I can't explain it. I'm more disappointed in myself for not liking this album than I am with anything that I heard, because there's lots of pieces in every song that I like. For whatever reason, like I was saying earlier, you can play this in the background, no problem. But unfortunately, when I do that, it's like usually my first kind of run-throughs, and I'm looking for something to catch my attention, and I'm like, hey, what song is this? And it never happened. So as we get through all that, I gave this album a 5.8.
Oof.
Wow.
Oof. Oh, man. Oh, no.
Ouch.
Look,
I'll jump in here.
If anybody wants to hate on me, that's fine. I get it. I'm not shitting on the album as much as I'm just kind of shitting on myself for not liking it.
So again, for clarity, before we get flamed in the comments, that is still considered a recommend. Just to reiterate that, he is still recommending that you listen to it. You know,
anything a 5 and above is still a recommend, and everything below is just varying degrees of don't ever listen to it.
All right, Josh, salvage this.
Yeah, so going into this, look, I have heard some Iron Maiden. I've actually seen Iron Maiden live. They were at an Ozfest, and saw them live. So I've seen them live before. I've heard some Iron Maiden, but I would never really listened. Right, this is the first time I've really like strapped in and listened to what was going on. And I wish I could go back to when I saw them live and actually give them the respect that they deserve right now. Because what a dipshit I was. Like, I wasn't listening. I was playing on my phone like some piece of garbage, right? Because I was just waiting for Ozzy to come on. Or it might have been Black Sabbath that year. It might have been Black Sabbath playing. I was just waiting for Sabbath to come on. Dude, this album was fucking good, man. I like the album from start to finish. I don't even like instrumentals usually. And the only gripe I would have is I feel like Transylvania should have been a real song. And I feel like Strange World should have been an instrumental. Like, I feel like they should have switched sides on that deal. Small gripe, doesn't really impact my score very much. Look, I feel like this score will definitely get higher with time. But for now, this album is better than Screaming for Vengeance for me. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
All right. I'm going to come in here real quick. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I this record surprised the hell out of me. I think this is one of the handful of times on this list that I was like genuinely shocked on how good the album was and how much I liked it. I expect to like most of these records on this list, but after like the fourth or fifth time, I kind of feel like I'm, not forcing myself, but I've the novelty's kind of over at least somewhat. It didn't really happen with this record. I was just throwing this on just for fun, and I loved it. I think it's great. I think it belongs on the list. Definitely listen to more. I'm coming all the way up to a 9. I think this is an S tier record.
Ow.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That's a bit much.
Thank God I gave it a 5.8.
The fact that you gave Diary of a Madman
I knew it was coming.
6.9,
I knew it was
and
coming.
you're giving this a 9, what a fucking idiot. Dude, put Q-tips all the way, not just in your ears. Dude, fucking scrub your brain with them, okay?
Hey, look, this is a fantastic release.
You're a dummy.
I think that it helped me a lot expecting absolute dog shit out of this album. I think that helped David too. I was not expecting much. And look, this album was going to suffer from, hey, this band has how many albums on our top 50
17.
list?
No. List 3.
It's 3.
3, okay. And we are at 17, is that right?
Yeah.
And we barely got into Iron Maiden. So they have a fucking lot to live up to here. So, I felt like there was no hope for this album. And man, it was just fucking awesome, dude. It was so great that I even listened to the next album on Iron Maiden's catalog, which is not on our list, by the way, because man, like Iron Maiden fucking rules. What have I been doing with my fucking life? And look,
here's the good news: you got 17 albums to go through, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Look, you can hear their influence in all the bands I love. You can even hear it in fucking Papa Roach and Sum 41, man. Like these guys' legacy is fucking. I mean, it's fucking colossal, way bigger than I ever would have imagined. And this is just their first album, man. So this does belong on the list, and I already have started listening to more shit that's not even on our list. I gave this an 8.5.
Wow.
Robust.
All right. That puts this at a 7.7 overall. That is an A tier score. That's the top tier record. So strong recommendations all around.
Heyo.
All right. Well, hey, look, I think we've been pretty lucky, with the exception of Dave talking shit about Randy Rhoads in the last review, but we've been pretty lucky with all the albums we've been getting. I hope the luck continues. The next album on the list here is Blackwater Park by the band Opeth. Okay, that's number 16 on our list here. Check out our reaction. That's going to be coming a little bit later in the week for one of the songs off that album. And hey, look, if you guys liked the video here, I hope you did. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're putting out weekly metal content right now. We got reactions, reviews, all kinds of good stuff. So I hope you keep checking us out. In the meantime, live long and prosper.
Take it easy, everybody.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah.